What judge personality is doing? What were you got? Did you good? Alex is asking. I like how it went out. Your judge personality. Who's your alter ego that you're channeling from a famous judge? Are you going to pull them in? Yeah. Assert your dominance? I can see that. Dude, his Drake's elbow. Shakes his hands with Drake. Have fun. I'm gonna stay for a little bit. I gotta pick my partner up to the train station. They go to Toronto once a week for work. Drop him off at 6:40 this morning. And I get up there early and then I'm like, well, I might have to just start. Because like, what am I gonna do? I'm out, I'm showering, I'm
Good evening, everyone. We're excited to have you here tonight at the Change Engine competition. This is our inaugural event, the first advocacy pitch competition being run by WUSA. I'm Nick, and I use he, him pronouns.
And I'm Anna, and I use they, them pronouns.
We're thrilled to be your hosts this evening and help bring together so many passionate minds and innovative ideas. A huge thank you to our contestants for their hard work, dedication, and creativity. Your innovative ideas and commitment to bring them to life have truly set the stage for an inspiring event tonight. We're so proud of what you've accomplished. We'd also like to extend our gratitude to our judges. We have Alex, Andrina, Aria, Emma, and Maricini. Thank you for your time, expertise, and thoughtful evaluation of the incredible pitches you'll be hearing tonight. A special thanks also goes out to everyone who helped make this event possible, from our IT team, who you'll see around today, making sure everything runs smoothly, to the marketing team who promoted the event tonight, WUSA Events and Advocacy, and for their help behind the scenes. Your hard work and dedication have made this event come together seamlessly, and we couldn't have done it without you. And last but not least, thanks to all of you and our audience this evening. Whether you're in person or joining us online, thanks for your support and engagement. Tonight wouldn't be the same without your incredible community. We're for an inspiring and thought-provoking evening, and we can't wait to get started. But I'll turn it over to Anna first with the land acknowledgement.
Yeah, before we get started with the competition, we'd just like to take a few moments to reflect and acknowledge the land in which we are situated today. The University of Waterloo Undergraduate Student Association recognizes that much of the work that we conduct is on the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee, Anishinaabe, and Neutral peoples. Situated on the Haldeman Tract, land granted to the Six Nations that includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. We acknowledge and champion the enduring presence and contributions of Indigenous peoples in this region and across Canada. This is an opportunity and a reminder for all of us to reflect on our shared responsibility for advocacy and reconciliation. We encourage everyone to think about how we can individually and collectively contribute to a more just, inclusive, and sustainable future. Now, on a personal, national, and global note, as we forge a path forward in this next chapter of personal, professional, and political life, whether you're a student, staff member, or faculty member, or community member, I hope events like these will allow us to stop, consider, and value what marginalized voices may not be represented or heard, to then take action or fight with them. As great innovation, as we'll see today, and realities are just around the corner when we uplift and show mercy for the diversity of thought, identity, and experience.
Thank you very much, Anna. The Change Engine competition is all about innovation, creativity, and driving positive change. 6 groups are with us tonight and are competing, 2 from each stream, with a chance to win prizes of $5,000, $3,000, or $1,000. Every project has the potential to make a real impact, and it's up to us, the community, to support and uplift these change makers.
Absolutely. We also want to take a moment to thank you all. Whether you're a student, a mentor, or someone just curious about the big things that we have offered to you today, we hope tonight is an event. This event will leave you feeling inspired and excited about the future.
With that said, let's get the night started. We have a packed agenda, and it's time to hear from each of our brilliant contestants. Let's give them a big round of applause as they prepare to pitch their ideas.
Yeah, first up is Empower Her Web.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being able to join today. We are excited to introduce our initiative, Empower Her Web.
My name is Tanvir, and my position is Events Coordinator.
And my name is Sarah. I am the Outreach Coordinator. We also have a third member, Layla. She is our Research Coordinator. She just unfortunately was not able to make it today. But together we are working towards making our vision hopefully a reality.
So, as women of color at the University of Waterloo, we are deeply aware of the unique challenges that we face, especially in STEM fields, where we are underrepresented and often encounter systemic barriers. Women of color in STEM are not only navigating gender and racial biases, they are also lacking in sufficient access to aligned mentorship, networks, and opportunities that could enhance their academic and career prospects. We aim to provide access to a support system for first and second year women of color STEM students to engage in mentorship with seniors, graduate students, and professors, so that students can see women of color in leadership roles, hear their stories, and become inspired.
All right, so now on to our objectives. Our initiative aligns with the Building Connections and Engagement Advocacy priority from the WUSA annual plan. We plan to address this priority by providing students the opportunity to engage with peers and faculty members through an introductory panel that we hope to host in March, and then followed by ongoing mentorship connections through the use of our website, which we hope to implement in April.
All right. Our research highlights a clear need for better connections at UW. According to the RSP Student Connectedness Survey, 48% of students reported feeling disconnected due to lack of relationships with instructors or staff, and 73% of students expressed a desire to get more connected to the university.
So further research we conducted highlighted the need for a solution to bridge the gap through essentially mentorship. So why does mentorship exactly matter? Well, specifically in our experience at least, the disparity in representation leads to a lack of confidence, as many students share the sentiment that we cannot exactly see ourselves in these leadership positions. Studies have shown that mentorship provides vital guidance, career advice, and emotional support. This support is essential in building confidence and creating opportunities in typically male-dominated fields. So our goal is to foster these relationships to ensure both personal and professional growth. So now in reference to our timeline, our key milestones for implementation include a gathering information stage. This is where we will ultimately determine interest from our target student population and potential mentors through the use of surveys or other outreach methods. This will be followed by a planning and implementation stage to establish the beginning of our two main phases. The first being an introductory panel with a select few panel speakers to drive engagement and introduce our website. And then we can follow up with a mentorship website to facilitate communication and a deeper sense of community.
We aim to launch the website around the end of April after the exam period as an academic and professional resource hub tailored to supporting women of color in STEM at Waterloo. Fundamental aspects of this website will include an About Us page, a resource hub page. This one will specifically provide tools like resume and cover letter templates, cold emailing guides, as well as resources on navigating the research process. Another page will be the blog or takeover space, which is where we will primarily have our mentee and mentor interaction. This is essentially a space where mentors will post about their pathway, research interests, and just general advice with their contact information provided for students to reach out directly, so privately, or they can also publicly comment under the post. We also have a survey page for feedback so that users can constantly shape the platform and ensure that it remains both relevant and impactful. Finally, we'll have an events page highlighting STEM opportunities in the Waterloo region. In short, it's a hub designed to empower and connect underrepresented students in STEM at UWaterloo.
All right, so now on to the funding aspect. So to bring this project to life, we require funding for several key areas as discussed in the timeline. To begin, for outreach and information gathering, we approximately estimate we would need about $200, and then $300 in terms of the website production, $400 in terms of actually hosting the panel event as well as the website launch, and then we have allocated an additional $100 more so as a contingency fund if there are any other sectors that may need the money.
We'd love to hear any questions you have about Empower Her Web and how we plan to make a difference. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, great. Wonderful presentation, guys. Can you tell me a little bit more about what's on this website, how the user face is going to work? So if I'm a student and I open it up, what resources can I access through this website that I can't get in other places perhaps, or not easily accessible?
Yeah, sure. So what's special about the website is just the fact that it's a combination of a couple resources. There's a page specifically for, again, those resume templates, cover letter templates, things like that that are general to just the fact that Waterloo is a co-op school. Things like that are important to have. So it has that alongside that blog space for women in different various intersects of, I guess, careers as well as pathways who can discuss their experiences. And it just helps us kind of foster a sense of community for like a broader group. So I think that's what's important.
And then just to add on, so in terms of like the layout, we do want to have more so like a navigation bar at the top, so that we divided with like an About Us section, maybe a section on events that we'd be hosting potentially in the future, both in Waterloo and also in the overall region of the Kitchener-Waterloo. And then also one particular link that would take you to our blogs, and then the workshops as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Just a little bit about the website section. Who's going to be maintaining it during the project and also afterwards, if that's something you're thinking about?
So we've been speaking to somebody else about the website production so far, just because we know somebody who is more interested in coding, and we think that would be an opportunity for her. So she's been taking care of developing the website, but we would be maintaining it during that whole period after April, after it's launched. So just posting the blog posts, because we would be basically reaching out to mentors, and they would provide like a 250 to 500 word kind of page about whatever they want to add. And then we would be the ones posting it throughout those 4 months until August, when the project kind of ends.
And I guess in order to make it more so like a long-term thing, we would be open to maybe expanding our team, and us initially would be essentially controlling the website, but would be open to allowing more people to join our team and kind of learn the backgrounds and see what our priorities are, and then they can probably continue to carry on with the website once we graduate.
I am just wondering, how does your platform or your idea in terms of a web differ from like other groups on campus? So like, I know there's a group on campus like Women in STEM, or like women in like healthcare field specifically. How does yours differ from that? Because I'm just wondering, in terms of like you're creating a platform for women of color in STEM, but like how narrow and target audience are you focusing on, kind of, in a way? Do you know what I mean?
So, I guess we primarily, so of course, as you mentioned, there are women in STEM, women in healthcare. We kind of wanted to more so focus on the women of color aspect, and then, because we ourselves experienced from our first year the challenges that we went through, and just the lack of leadership opportunities we were unfortunately not able to really have. So we kind of wanted to kind of combine the fact that women in color, and then those specifically in STEM, just combine those two to make an opportunity for that.
And just to add on, I think the STEM field is very broad. We personally are in health science, and so we're more focused on like the health aspect, but it's very important to kind of see the other STEM fields. We have a professor who initially started in electrical engineering, and she somewhere along the way found out that she wanted to do public health. So just being able to like expand people's horizons, like STEM is a big field, and I think there's a lot that we can learn from each other, and I think that's the point of kind of fostering that sense of community and addressing that WUSA priority.
Well, thank you very much, Weber, and Webher. And while our judges take a couple of final notes before we have our second presentation come up, thought we should mention an honorable mention. While they weren't selected we did think very highly of their project, and we'd love to highlight the exciting project. Our honorable mention for today is Friday Zala, who goes by they, them pronouns, a 3A environmental science student with an interest in legal studies and human rights. Their project was on implementing a queer living learning community in campus housing. They write, there's a gap in housing options for 2S LGBTQ plus trans and gendered non-conforming students at the University of Waterloo, preventing many from living authentically and safely, impacting their mental health and academic success. Their project aims to analyze current housing needs for 2S LGBTQ plus students, collaborate with stakeholders to identify and address implementation barriers, propose creative solutions to overcome challenges, including funding and procedural issues, and then finally present a report to the university decision-making bodies. By drawing on best practices from other institutions, the project advocates for inclusive, supportive housing options that are culturally competent and affirming for all students. Friday is working with 2 collaborators on implementing this project. While we're sad to say that you're up here today, we are excited to see where Friday takes this project. Best of luck. Now, our next presenter for this evening is Campus Safety, if you'll come up to the platform.
Hello? All right, I'll start now. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie. My pronouns are she, her. I'm in my 4th year of planning at the University of Waterloo, and today I'll be providing a pitch about campus safety, specifically in Stream 3 about relaunching the previously closed down Walk Safe program, and also campus safety improvements. So, currently, my team consists of myself, but I'm hoping to hire 3 potential student leaders who can help me really initiate this program and help bring it off of its feet. So, my project is called the Walk Safe Study. And the reason why I wanted to initiate this program is because around 1.5 years ago, while I worked at WUSA as their VP, a student came up to me around 8 months after the hate-motivated attack on our campus and said that they no longer felt safe on our campus and wanted to see the Walk Safe program come back to life. So today, my goal is to take that student's wish into a reality. So, what will this program accomplish? The Walk Safe study will support WUSA's annual plan of prioritizing student safety and community wellness. And my plan to do this is to create a student engagement study, which will, 1, identify through written submission or activity potential uncomfortable walking areas, which can be accomplished through ArcGIS mapping systems that will develop hotspots on campus to highlight uncomfortable areas where students are currently walking around. The second item would be engage student interest in reinitiating the Walk Safe program on campus. And finally, engage student interest in producing personal safety tools for distribution or emergency safety training. And the program would be previously based on WUSA's Walk Safe program through student input and other resources. So what we know from, next slide, WUSA's RSP is that students relate safety to feelings of comfort, the way that they travel, connection and belonging, and their ability to express their opinions, beliefs, and identity. What we also know is that most students don't really feel safe on campus, specifically during certain periods of the day, and it differs greatly for students grouped as gender non-conforming and those who identify or have a disability. Specifically, safety issues that students are very concerned about is where they were walking at bus stops, parking lots, or along walking paths or trails on campus. Typically, students had concerns about lighting or even emergency poles that are meant to be there for our safety not really working when they're meant to be. So through establishing a Walk Safe program, we could not only establish a new sense of community through student interaction, we can introduce a new safety service for students arriving on campus, for instance, during orientation when students are very unfamiliar with their surroundings. But we can also develop strategies to go to the University of Waterloo and say, this is what we would like to see improved on our campus. Example of that could be lighting, which can improve perceived safety of certain paths during different periods of the day. So, in summary, I believe it is important that students take control of their own security, be able to improve certain areas on campus, and feel safe walking home every day, all day, and everywhere. What the timeline for this looks like is that in the first month, I'm hoping to meet with different campus stakeholders, including student groups, university administration, and discuss the feasibility of developing the Walk Safe program and developing a survey that will engage student interest and engage their thoughts on where on campus feels the most uncomfortable or unsafe. In the second month, I'm hoping to recruit students and use this as a period of time to also market the development of the program, because not only will students be intrigued by new student opportunity, but they'll also be interested in finding out more about what it's about. My third month, I'm hoping to launch a survey that will collect student feedback on what improvements could be made to make them feel safer on campus. In the fourth month, I'm hoping to report on these results to the University of Waterloo and work collaboratively with them and for WUSA's help to develop the Walk Safe program, as well as initiate a lot of these improvements that students are asking for. In the fifth month, I'm hoping to work with these student leaders to develop a Walk Safe program plan. In the sixth month, I'm hoping to launch a pilot version of the Walk Safe program, hopefully around the time of orientation. In the seventh month, there'll be a full pilot program going on. And in the eighth month with data and insights, we'll evaluate and report these findings back to WUSA and the university. For funding, potential funding would be required for honoraria for student leaders who would assist me in the project, improvements in campus spaces, such as investments in lights and interiors along UW. The Walk Safe program budget would require investment and specific budget allocated to initiating the program. And finally, survey tools to help develop certain resources. That's all I have for you guys today. Any questions?
Hello, hello. Okay, it works. Awesome presentation. Please walk me through what are the key things you want to get out of it. So heat map is one of the things you told me about, but what were the other two specifically?
So essentially there are three main items.
Mm-hmm.
The first would be reestablishing WUSA's previously closed down Walk Safe program, which was closed because of financial reasons and also capacity between WUSA and the university and special constables, so that would be the first thing. The second thing would be identifying or working with students to identify certain places on campus where they feel most uncomfortable, and an easy way to do that is through data collection. Through WUSA's help, I'm hoping to use ArcGIS to create these heat maps, which will highlight certain areas on campus. And it's a tool that a lot of students know how to use, so that's why I'm hoping to recruit students, a tool for students by students. And finally, engage interest in if students want emergency safety tools as they walk around campus.
Awesome. So the second two things sound very doable, but the first one seems expensive. So what's the plan to continue? And like, how's that $1,000 gonna fund it? You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
I know exactly what you're trying to say. Since it's a pilot program, the main point of the Walk Safe study is just to test out if this type of program is viable within the first 2 months, specifically around orientation. So that $1,000 budget might go to walkie-talkies, might go to vests for student volunteers who would engage in the Walk Safe program. And then once we find data and specific measures that can measure the success of the program, like KPIs, it's not an idea or project that will last forever, but if it is successful, it can go on forever.
Thank you, Katie. That was great. Do you foresee any barriers to completing this by August?
I think from my research and my findings, I've contacted a couple other university student Walk Safe programs already, and I've also contacted Sam from WUSA to also ask about her inquiries into the Walk Safe program. So far, what I've found is that student recruitment to help with Walk Safe programs is currently on the decline, and that might be a expected challenge. Marketing of the program might also be an expected challenge because it's a new service. People will be wondering what it is. But ways that I plan to overcome that is to work with WUSA and UW more collaboratively, and also, I guess you could say, do my utmost best to really bring student attention to the positive influence that this program will have.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be like partnership with like the Waterloo app, you know, the safety app that they kind of give like alerts and stuff? Do you think in the future that might be like something you might bring upon in terms of like giving alerts out to students, or maybe like mitigating that walk safety feature onto that app maybe if it does become successful? Or
Definitely. I've had conversations with the Walk Safe program at the University of Wilfrid Laurier, and on their version of, let's say, the What's Safe app, they actually have certain features that include Walk Safe program measures, where students can contact constable services directly, or they can request walks or request phone calls directly with student volunteers who run the program. So ideally, through starting this collaboration and those initial discussions with the university, we can see if this can become a long-time feature of the What's Safe app and continuously build upon it for student safety in the future. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yep, okay. All right, thanks, Katie, for that. Great presentation. Just in the effort to give the judges some time to deliberate, thought I'd tell you guys about Fries for Fries. So WUSA Advocacy and Events are teaming up with the Sexual Violence Prevention and Response Office, SB Pro, on January 30th from 3 to 5 p.m. For a fun event all about consent awareness. At the event, we'll be serving free fries, buffet style, and diving into the meaning behind fries. So fries actually stands for, it's an acronym, so it stands for freely given, reversible, informed, engaged, and specific. Yeah, so join us to enjoy delicious fries, participate in interactive activities, and grab some cool swag along while learning about consent. All right, so next up, I'd love to welcome Community Care up to the stage.
Communicare, empowering food security among international students. So my name is Isra. And we also have two community members who are not here with us today, and their names are Isabel and Carthana. So our goal is to reduce isolation as well as to combat food insecurity among international students at the University of Waterloo. So essentially this project and what we want to do with it is we want to facilitate group shopping trips in which international students will be grouped together and they will take a survey in which we will see the commonalities among them. And so through these group shopping trips, they will also be led by volunteers from the International Peer Community, or the IPC. And so through these group shopping trips, it will aim to decrease isolation as well as increase access to culturally appropriate foods, as well as allow for more efficient grocery shopping. So in this case, it will also simplify travel costs and allow for bulk shopping. And also it will revive the upper year and lower year connection that was lost through COVID-19.
So through various research, we found that there is a need for a program like Communicare on UW campus. Our findings from RSP, the International Student Report from 2024, found that there is a need for the university to focus on mitigating barriers when it comes to seeking culturally appropriate foods among international students, as it can actually increase feelings of homesickness. And then from our research, we wanted to highlight a study from 2023 at Conestoga College, which showed that 96% of respondents experiencing food insecurity were also international students. And it's important to note that food insecurity, adapting to a new diet, not only compromises one's immune system, but also their mental and emotional well-being. As part of our research, we also conducted an informal needs assessment research in which various stakeholders validated our needs and also ensured us that this is a very relevant and current issue on campus. They also provided us with feedback to make iterations on this project over the past few months. And lastly, just to acknowledge that the University of Waterloo does have a very large international student population, so it's important that we provide them with adequate resources in order for these students to not just thrive in an academic environment, but also as a member in society.
Yeah, and in terms of timeline, beyond today, we intend to first connect with the international peer community, or IPC, here at the university to help recruit 3 to 4 volunteers. Announcements during these big IPC events that already garner a lot of participation from the international student community would be important for spreading awareness and will allow us to leverage that exposure to reach the students that we hope to reach. We would also look to hold an info session for the volunteers we end up recruiting. Then in February, we would open up registration where students submit a form detailing their dietary preferences, housing location, budget, and availabilities. And these students would be divided into groups by the volunteers where they would be based off of their preferences. And these volunteers would also initiate communications and determine logistics of their first group shopping trip. This first group shopping trip would essentially entail group members meeting up with their volunteer, traveling to the store together, purchasing the groceries in bulk, and dividing it in the most logistical manner. And essentially, this would be an opportunity for them to even explore new food options and also foster relationships with one another. These trips would occur bi-weekly, and it would also be followed up by a post-trip survey each time, with the purpose of making this an iterative process where we continue to identify the challenges and successes throughout the course of the program. It's also an opportunity for students to suggest improvements, let us know what's working, what's not working, is this even helping them? So yeah, and then we would analyze this feedback, and it would allow us to implement changes that could potentially address these identified challenges. These trips would continue bi-weekly up until April, where we would have our final group shopping trip, and that would ultimately lead us to close off with an impact analysis of the program by April 30th to evaluate the effects and outcomes.
So here we have listed how we would spend the $3,000 of funding, starting with compensating our volunteers for their commitment and their efforts. This would be $700 for each of the 3 volunteers and will total in $2,100. $100 would then be allocated towards marketing, which will include a Canva Pro account and the cost of printing posters. The remaining money would be spent on end of term social event and also any post survey stipends. We would now like to welcome any questions.
That was great. A couple of questions. One, how were the volunteers getting the students to the grocery store? And the follow-up question is about bulk shopping. If they're taking public transit, are they, like, how are they getting all their shopping back? Thanks.
Yeah, so I'll answer like the second inquiry first about the bulk shopping. So we had gotten this inquiry before, and essentially our plan and idea was that because Uber is something that is so common, we thought that these students would be able to utilize Uber, and in that case as well, they're able to also like share the cost of Uber, because one of the aspects of our survey is to also link students who live in similar regions within Waterloo. So for example, let's say Three of them live within UWP, maybe they're from the similar ethnicity, they're more likely to anyways be grouped together. And so they'd be able to Uber home together and then also split those costs together. So all in all, it's just like a win-win situation. And sorry, I just forgot the first part of the question. Oh yeah, so essentially we are just thinking about the Ubering situation, and again, because they will be grouped together based on the commonality in the area in which they live, the cost there will also be split up as well. So it's just kind of like a win-win situation. Yeah, so again, with that as well, like because they would live within similar residences, again, the operational mode would be, through Uber. And so the Uber would, of course, come to the grocery store and help pick them up and take them to their residence. We thought the idea of, I know that within Waterloo, we're able to use our student cards to travel. However, we knew that wouldn't be feasible because of how big shopping is. And as someone who also lives away from home, I understand that feeling. So again, like them Ubering and them splitting the cost of the Uber is also like a big deal as well. So that would be our idea of mode of transportation, and the volunteer would come with them as well, especially for the first shopping trip. So they would come with them first to show them around, make sure they're comfortable within their group, and then eventually, if they get comfortable enough, they're able to go by themselves on those group shopping trips, and will be able to also schedule in that portion as well for themselves based on their own best schedule.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. So, quick question here for you folks. Over half of your cost is going to staffing, pretty much, volunteers and folks. So, what is the product that the rest of the money is going towards exactly? Is it a survey? What is the product we're getting out of this?
So, the idea for the remaining money would go towards, like, for example, end of term event, like a potluck, which would help, kind of promote the international peer community and the community within the separate groups themselves, and also promote, intercultural relationships. And the whole thing is centered around food, and that's kind of the whole, purpose of this program. And also, we also mentioned post-survey stipends, which would kind of go towards, that additional motivation to provide us with relevant feedback, so that, we're not just getting generic answers, and also we're able to, take that and use it forward.
Well, thank you, Communicare. And while our judges take some final notes on our previous pitch, you might be wondering what's next for our winners after tonight, as we are now about halfway through the pitches. Well then, don't forget, tonight's just the beginning. The Change Engine competition is part of a larger movement focused on student innovation and community-driven change. We encourage all of you to keep up the momentum by collaborating with your peers, supporting each other's projects, and partnering with WUSA to advocate for causes that matter to you. As for the winners of today, their journey is just beginning. These groups will work to implement their projects from now until August, or whatever other date happens to have been up on the screen that you've seen. Collaborating closely with our advocacy team, who are sprinkled throughout the room in various places, and participating in mentorship sessions with advocacy specialists. And who knows, maybe your journey is just about to start too. With that, I gotta flip to the other section of my notes. Our next group up is Ecoplastic AI mobile app.
Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Dev Katyal, and today I'll be presenting to you Ecoplastic, a mobile app designed to counter plastic pollution all across North America through AI. So for a very brief introduction, environmental conservation has been like a really huge focal point of my life for the past few years. So most recently, I was selected to represent Canada on an international scale as one of 25 marine plastic ambassadors. And so as a 1B computer science student at the University of Waterloo, this project really combines my two biggest strengths, which is environmental conservation and building really cool software. One slide back, please. Yeah. So what exactly is Ecoplastic? Well, the average university student uses about 500 single-use plastic items each year. which is much, much more than the average Canadian. Now, only 10% of this gets recycled, while the rest ends up in landfills, incinerators, or the environment. So I knew there had to be a better solution. So I created EcoPlastic, a mobile app that rewards you for recycling through the power of AI. So how exactly does the app work? Well, the first step is just to open the app and click the scan screen. Then what happens is the user uses their smartphone camera to take a picture of a plastic water bottle or some other kind of plastic item. Then what happens is the machine learning model, which I trained, has a 97% accuracy, and it determines if your bottle is recyclable. And if it is, you earn points. And so once you earn enough points, you can spend it on a lot of cool eco-friendly prizes. For example, 100 points will get you a reusable bag, while 500 points will get you a tree planted in your local community. And so the best part is that all of this is integrated with Amazon. So all I need to do is just approve the purchase and it gets shipped straight to your address. And so the app also comes with a lot of other cool features. For example, you can ask what type of plastic water bottles are recyclable, and you'll receive an instant response. And so really by creating a really gamified leaderboard, like really clean and simple UI, as well as a bunch of prizes to choose from, like this can create huge change across Waterloo and even all across Canada. And so again, the project sort of aligns with the sustainability goal, and it's really unique in the sense that there's not another project in like all of Canada right now that's combining AI image recognition technology with rewarding you for recycling. And so how do I know that this is even gonna work? Well, first of all, I wanna talk about the impact the app has already had. So far I've invested $0 and the app has not even launched yet. But I've already tested it with 50 students from Waterloo and I've received really, really positive feedback. We've also reached 500 followers on Instagram at EcoPlastic app. And I recently gained the support of Earth Echo, which is a really big international organization. And they've agreed to share my story and my app on their social media, which is really awesome. And I also found out in the Journal of Cleaner Production, it says that real-time feedback on consumer behavior can increase sustainable choices by 45%, which is exactly what EcoPlastic does. And so to summarize, as university students, we use single-use plastics because they're really easy and convenient, right? But we're sacrificing our environment. And so by using EcoPlastic, we can help bring Canada back on track to becoming plastic-free by 2030. And so what's the timeline? So from January to February, I'll be launching the app, launching the website, and also hiring a professional beta tester just to make sure there's no bugs and everything is smooth. And then from March to April, I'm gonna launch a campaign called Plastic Free Pledge. And it's set to impact about 2,000 students across the Waterloo campus. I'll also be distributing posters, 200 posters across high traffic areas, for example, SLC. And I'll also be putting a lot of funding into Facebook and Instagram ads, which are gonna really impact like close to 10,000 people. So that's a really big thing. And from May to June, I'll be hosting events, for example, which will mostly be at SLC. For example, I'll be hosting plastic trivia, get a question right about plastic pollution, and win a eco-friendly prize like a reusable bag. And then finally, in July to August, I'll be doing a final report and giving out 1,000 surveys. And so the budget, a lot of it goes into app launch, for example, paying for OpenAI, paying for Amazon Web Services, and paying for the Android fees. And a little bit also goes into website fees and hiring the beta tester. And in terms of advertising, it goes into 200 campaign posters, 50 pamphlets, and the social media advertising. A lot of it also goes into events for paying for like banners, decorations for the booth. And the bulk of the funding actually goes into prizes. So I really want to go like full up onto the prizes and provide as many students like a chance to get involved. And the rest goes into the survey, so providing a small cash prize for the first 100 people who take the survey. And so I think that what really allows me to launch this app is just my experience in both, like having that experience in software and shipping apps, but also having that previous experience in environmental leadership, like serving as one of 25 marine plastic ambassadors, but even having connections to organizations like Earth Echo and Oceanwise. So I really think that I can really scale this project and get it to 2,000 users in the next few months. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
great presentation, by the way. Could you just talk a little bit more about the prizes? Who's paying for them? Sort of how's that money
Yeah, so the
work?
project, the prizes will be coming, they cost about $1,000, and it's like a lot of prizes, so like 200 cookies, like around 300 water bottles. So I really want to distribute like a lot of prizes just to get as many people involved as possible. And it is all coming from the funding from the change engine.
Also talk a little bit about the point system and those prizes as well.
Yeah, for sure. So for each successful scan, you get about 5 points, and there's a limit on how many scans. It's 1 scan per day. And so for you to win a reusable bag, you would need to scan something for 20 days in a row. And so the prizes, they're also coming from the funding. And so the more scans you do, like the better the prizes get. For example, for 500 points, you can plant a tree in your local community. And yeah, so that they're pretty much all coming from the funding as well.
Thank you.
Oh, there we go. My question to you would be, I mean, a considerable amount of funding we're giving you is also for campaigning and advertisement as well. You know, Upkeep Up website has 100 docs, so on. So what's the plan to keep this sustainable when this funding runs out?
Oh, yeah,
Do you have
100%.
plans of?
So apps actually have a really, really low maintenance. So once I just pay for the initial fees, it's like less than $100 each month. And so even after the funding runs out, I can pretty much sustain it from my own pocket or find another source. But even from like years to come, like the Ecoplastic could like still be alive. And so the growth is pretty much limitless here.
And can you scan multiple items a day, assuming you max out your points?
No, it's 1 item each day, just to stop people from like, you know, getting prizes like each day. So.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up with that. Like, so if an individual has like more than 1 water bottle or something, they want to scan that day, right? Obviously, it's not gonna contribute to that day because they only have a limit to 1 day. So how would you enhance that, like going forward, if you got this pitch or this, funding?
Yeah, I mean, so if you did have like multiple water bottles a day, like I would suggest like spreading it out just day by day. But then again, like the main goal of the app is to learn. Like there's not just the scan feature. You can also ask the AI bot. There's like tons of quizzes, videos, educational resources that I didn't show here, but the app has like so much content. And so I would just sort of suggest like spread it out day by day.
No, I think that's great because you also mentioned that you tested this with few
Correct.
people, so you have personal testimonies in terms of the usage of this app and where it's going and stuff. So I think that's great. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ecoplastic AI mobile app. Before we call up the next group, I just want to take this moment to highlight some important resources that are available to us students. So yeah, many of us are renters or living away from home, so it's essential to have tools and knowledge to understand our housing rights. So we encourage you to check out our advocacy housing playbook on WUSA.ca under the advocacy section. We hope this resource empowers you, provides useful tips, and guides you to the support you may need, whether you yourself or you know someone who needs it. So next up, I'll call up WYGO.
Hello, hello. Can we start whenever? Awesome. They say if you give someone a fish, they'll eat for a day. But if you teach someone how to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime. And we think the same applies to community building. If you give someone an event, they'll have fun for a night. But if you teach someone how to host, how to build communities around them, they will have community for a lifetime. So we're WIGO, and oh, you want to do T?
Oh, that's okay. Sure. We're WIGO, and we're aiming to build a accelerator and support system for early stage community builders who are curious but don't necessarily have the tools in the places they live to be able to scale up their ideas and make them possible. A little bit about our team. So Chris and I have been working together for the past 4 years at UW on various technical and community-oriented projects. We've both been significant contributors to something called Socratica, which is a student nonprofit that has hosted over 3,000 students over the past 2 years at weekly co-working sessions where they can work on their independent passion projects. We've also been coaching people from afar in over 30 cities across Canada and the world on how to spin up similar co-working sessions and organizations in the cities that they're from. And through all of this process, we've also been living in different cities on co-op terms. So we've experienced the pains of being in a place where you don't know anybody, where you have no tools or infrastructure to hook into community-wise. We've also helped other people start things up from scratch. And that persistent thread, especially after the pandemic, watching people try to rebuild community, is really what motivates us to focus on not just the problem at the face value of hosting events, but teaching people to have that more widespread impact.
Awesome. So what are our goals? So for this term, our main goal is to run 4 mystery events and build out a platform to support these events. So what are mystery events? Well, we want to run these events that are essentially a surprise. The people who are hosting it know what it is, but the people who are signing up don't. So this de-risks the event for the people that are coming. They don't know what to expect. So it's a bit, and it also de-risks it for the hosts themselves because the people come and don't know what to expect. So people are coming with a more open mind and knowing or not knowing what to do, or not knowing what to expect, essentially. We've run 3 mystery events in the past, which have been successful, and we've gotten great feedback from them. And along with this, we're building out a software platform, an event hosting platform, to fill the gaps that we found in the current solutions. So one thing we want to focus on is essentially scaling up people from attendees to helpers to co-host to hosts. We found through Socratica and the other event hosting we've done that there is a gap there. And some people, like myself, used to think that I could only be an attendee. I could never host anything myself. But after Josh forced me to come out and to host something myself, I fell right into it, and I was able to learn and succeed and host more from there.
So how this aligns with WUSA's objectives, I'll go through this pretty quickly. Obviously, building campus engagement is a primary priority for WUSA. Supporting the personal and professional growth of students. Waterloo has a very technical student population, but giving them opportunities to have these leadership roles in a way that's a bit more gentle. I think I've seen a lot of personal growth in people working with them on this type of thing. And finally, the equity and accessibility. I think that people sometimes self-identify as leaders, and sometimes they need that to almost be found within them. And we'll be focusing on trying to distribute these opportunities so that we can teach people, even if they might not self-identify as leaders already. Next slide. This has been mentioned in one of the other presentations, but 73% of students at Waterloo wish they felt more connected to the school, and 42% wish they felt more connected to the city. Next slide. They also face unique barriers to connection at Waterloo. The constant co-op terms, we've especially experienced it. Every 4 months you have to pick up and start from scratch. And that's why developing these skills of how to build community and host events yourself is very important because of this constant moving and having to start again. Students have overwhelmingly requested events because they're a little bit lower commitment. People often cite being very busy and overworked. But we're going to build a system where you can kind of commit when you need to and pull back when you don't, but it'll still always be there. And then finally, WUSA also talks about how after the pandemic, they're trying to experiment and figure out what works best for students. And we feel that our system with the mystery events allows for that rapid kind of experimentation, gathering information on what works and what doesn't, so that they can have more direction going forward. Next. And this is in line with other broader loneliness research we've been doing for the past year. Statistics Canada has found that nearly 1 in 4 young people in Canada are experiencing loneliness almost always. And the US has put out a report by the US Surgeon General about the loneliness epidemic. So this is a broad issue, and our generation needs to figure out how to broadly learn how to address this for themselves. So we're lacking social connection, the existing solutions aren't quite meeting our needs, and we need to figure out a solution through experimentation. Next.
I'll go over this quickly. So essentially our timeline is to run 4 mystery events spaced throughout the term, as well as our public launch of our platform very soon this month, and then run a finale event and to get essentially feedback from hosts to improve our platform. Finally here, next slide, our budget. Most of the money will be spent on event platform fees, as well as running these mystery events to essentially de-risk it for people who don't want to spend their own money running events. That's scary. So this budget will go mainly towards that, as well as running the finale event with all the hosts at the end.
Also want to mention we haven't waited to get this funding to start. We're almost ready to launch our platform. We're like days away. We need a little bit of a kick in the butt to get it going. This funding would go a long way for our first couple of events on it. Yeah, and we really appreciate you guys listening today, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, guys. So it's a social platform where folks can put events and other people can attend those events, but I don't know what those events are, just from my understanding, right? So do you have an example of what these mystery events are? Like,
Yeah, so the lowest risk thing for a host to do, we've kind of tested and theorized, is where there isn't a pre-existing expectation from the attendees on what they're walking into, so they're very open and receptive to whatever the host has to improvise in the moment if things aren't quite working out. Our first 3 mystery events that we did, one of them was we made people make fight scene movies. We randomly paired them in groups, and they went and they filmed and they did little, like kung fu style type of thing. We did one that was a makeshift Olympics. We went to WCI, which is a school down the road, and we made people compete in various dodgeball type games. We can't tell you what the upcoming one that we have planned is going to be because it's a secret. But yeah, people have had, we've consistently heard feedback that even from the attendees, when they don't have that pre-expectation of, oh, is it going to be fun? Like maybe I don't actually want to do this. They just have to show up, and that's a big driving force for getting them out of the house in the first place. So we've seen benefits on both sides.
Another thing to add to that, our platform won't just be for the mystery events. It's kind of our way to pilot the platform, to learn from the events that we're running so we can add features that people really want from their feedback as well from our experience running the events ourselves. But the goal for the future is to have hosts on the platform doing their own thing, running mystery events if they want, or just running the events that they want to throw.
Just a question. Do you guys have like a limit to how many people come to each event, or is there like a certain amount of, you prioritize like certain number of students, like these people could come and like, or is it just open to anyone to come in kind of thing?
Yeah, so for the first few ones, it's limited by essentially just the hosting capacity. It's like too many people, trying to corral them, it's difficult. So around 30 people for a mystery event, or like 15 to 30 people is the sweet spot. But the goal for the platform is kind of to be as large as you want to make it. So with Socratica and other events, we've noticed that there's, as you scale, it becomes a lot harder to manage everything on Google Sheets and Google Documents, with especially as you're building a team out. So the goal of the platform is to kind of allow that scale to happen, to go from 30-person events to 50 to 1,000.
Can you speak to how you would measure success of a mystery event?
Sure. So we've been selling tickets. I think something we've thought a lot about as we build this out. There's many different funding mechanisms you can use for a project like this, whether you do grants or ticket sales or stuff like that. We've wanted to connect ourselves to ticket sales, both because it makes the event sustainable, but also because it's almost a direct feedback loop where if people are willing to pay for the thing, they're probably experiencing a fun time at the thing and telling their friends about it. So I think the most direct feedback loop is, are people continuing to buy tickets? Are people referring their friends, telling them about it? That being said, we've received feedback directly from people attending events. I think another thing that we want to really pay attention to is, are attendees wanting to then be helpers, wanting to then host? Because our primary goals are to teach people how to kind of grow into leadership positions. So if people just keep coming back as attendees and that's all they want, that's great. But I think the primary success metric is, are we converting people from just participating passively to becoming active contributors to communities?
Add one thing to that. Also, another way we measure success is how fast people sign up. We found to our first few mystery events, we got people signing up right away, and that includes having an online presence, that people affiliate your brand with good events, so they want to get in as soon as they can. And hopefully as we expand to more hosts, then we won't hit a limit of hosts, and there'll be more events and more capacity for attendees.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks, Wago. In a moment, we'll be calling up the Living Archives, but first, to give judges some times to write stuff down, I'm talking about the Advocacy Toolkit. It's an upcoming service provided by WUSA, which you can get early access to. We're excited to introduce the new resource to help you build your self-advocacy skills, whether it's yourself, your peers, or the campus community. This guide will help you create an advocacy plan, build confidence, and drive positive change at the University of Waterloo and beyond. Advocacy is all about making your voice heard and improving the student experience. This resource will be available on the WUSA website soon, but you can see it first by signing up for early access at the WUSA table with all our resources. Is that the one outside? I think that's the one outside. The one outside right there. Oh, it's even closer. It's the one inside. Sign up today and get exclusive access. With that, we're on to our last presentation of the evening, I think, which is the Living Archives.
Okay, great pitches, everyone. Thank you, WUSA, for this platform. I do recognize that I'm very, very privileged to be here. When we find ourselves seated in an audience, we're often captivated by the presentation projected behind the speaker, and we are encouraged to imagine, to close our eyes and let our thoughts wander freely. But today, I want us to do something a little different. Firstly, don't focus too much on the screen. No, this isn't an excuse for how un-tech savvy I am. Instead, let's just have a conversation, just you and me. These slides are merely a guide. But at the heart of this moment lies the connection that we are building together. And second, keep your eyes open. Imagine, but look around you. Reflect on the stories that have been etched in your journey and the moments that have shaped you and the journey that has brought you here. While you begin to imagine, allow me to introduce myself. Hi, everyone. My name is Ira Ali. I am the founder of the Living Archives. I'm a student here at UW, and I consider myself a storyteller. Today, I invite you to sit with me, as you are, while I share what the Living Archives is truly about. I'm a published poet, a TEDx speaker, a startup founder, a mentor, and I've mentored over 100 students and 100 individuals within underprivileged communities, and a science researcher. But my most fulfilling experiences comes from my passionate advocacy for diverse communities. The logo you see on the screen is actually also the cover of my book that I just published called A Bitter Brown Sweet Grief. It's a book that captures my journey through grief as an immigrant, a journey shaped by a world where stories like mine were missing, and I had to create my own. My mission is simple yet profound, to humanize the rawness of life. And so, the Living Archives was born. It is a platform dedicated to capturing the complexities of human stories. Every day, we sidestep conversations about grief, mental health, identity, and other stigmatized topics. And this avoidance creates barriers that prevents us from understanding and empathizing and building a community. Marginalized voices often remain unheard, depriving society of the wisdom embedded in our experiences. At its core, TLA is about breaking down these barriers. It's about creating safe spaces where stories can be heard, shared, and preserved. As students at UW, we represent a tapestry of millions of stories, our faces carrying the weight of untold narratives. So let's begin this conversation, not as presenter and audience, but as humans sharing a moment, a connection, or perhaps a story or two. Now, as the founder of Living Archives, I don't just storytell, I also aim to create a movement in 3 simple steps, and here's how. Ooh, next slide, please. Thank you. Quarterly themed pop-ups is number 1. Imagine entering a cozy cafe or an inviting space. The smell of coffee fills the air and the poetry flows like jazz. Strangers connect over questions that cut to the heart of life. Stories are told, sketches are drawn, and in that moment, the world feels kinder. Number 2, Living Archives magazine. Attendees will engage in open conversation, guided by prompts or free-flowing, on deeply human themes like grief, resilience, identity, or finding a co-op. These interactions from these events will be documented and transformed into stories and poetry for quarterly magazines both in print and digital, for which the versions will hopefully be super accessible and available in various languages. Number 3 is podcast and community building. Beyond these events, I would hope to launch a very unique podcast to reach a global audience and build an online community where individuals can learn, share, and grow together within the student body, but also outside. The student body at WUSA represents, the student body that WUSA represents, but even, because without them we wouldn't prosper as much, the faculty and the staff that are associated with WUSA at the University of Waterloo need the living archives, because amidst all of this hustle and academic excellence and research breakthroughs and entrepreneurial ventures, there's a quite unmet need for connection and empathy. What TLA basically does is it humanizes a high-pressure environment. It increases advocacy and awareness. It empowers through storytelling, it bridges divides, it addresses stigma, it preserves stories, it spotlights local bakeries, cafes, and artists. It inspires creativity, and it builds a sense of belonging. And to achieve that, this is kind of what the timeline looks like. Yeah. But to make this vision a reality, I'm seeking $5,000 in funding. This will cover website development, maintenance, magazine design, production, pop-ups, team compensation. And with your support, we can launch the Living Archives this February with our first pop-up release by April 2025. So I leave you with this. What story will you help us tell? Because with your support, TLA can become more than just a project. It can become a movement. Thank you. Any questions?
Not a tech-savvy person. Okay, thank you very much. What is the product here specifically that we're funding? If you can maybe simplify it for me a little.
Yeah, of course. So basically, the idea is to have pop-ups in a quarterly manner. So maybe 3 times a year, and basically based on the conversations that take place around those themes that are for those quarters, within these pop-ups, I basically create a magazine with the help of local artists to spotlight the stories that kind of go unheard within our student body.
Okay, beautiful. Awesome. Thank you very much.
No worries.
So with this like quarterly pop-up thingy, you said that it would be mostly on cafe locations.
Yeah.
But are you planning to like diversify the locations maybe? Because I feel that having that repetition doesn't really give an individual, it gives like very like a similar experience every time if it's a repeating individual that buys a ticket, but also just in terms of it feels like they're just coming down to read each other's stories. Are they like are they sharing it as well verbally? Maybe are they doing that as well, or it almost feels like kind of like I wouldn't want to say a book club, but it's kind of giving that vibe in terms of like how you're presenting it, but yeah, like you can go more into detail, like as to like give me more explaining. Yeah,
of course. Thank you for the question. So it doesn't have to be at cafes every time. I also mentioned like small spaces or just very intimate spaces where you're comfortable sharing a conversation. You come in with your own story. It doesn't have to be something that is truly drawn out of your life, but something that you resonate deeply with and you think would make a great story in the magazine as well. I think the main purpose of the Living Archives is to make sure that themes that we truly do not discuss about within UW, within the student body, within marginalized communities, are like spotlighted. And I think that's very, very important, because in order for all of us to be here and to be this privileged to be able to be here, we've had to like own our stories too, and to share them only makes our community stronger. So that's kind of like the idea.
Okay, super quick. Who do you see benefiting most from your project?
I think marginalized communities. I think people who look like me. I am very privileged, don't get me wrong. I am an immigrant, but I'm very, very privileged. But people who look like me, people who are trying to make sure that their faces are recognized, that their voices are heard. I've been through it, but not a lot of people are as privileged as I am. So I had to recognize that, do a lot of unlearning, and I think they would benefit the most from it. No, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Living Archives. It's a great way to wrap up the incredible presentations. Now we'll ask the judges to finalize their notes and step out of the room to begin their deliberations.
And in the meantime, for everyone else, if you take a look around you, specifically at the back of the room, we have food and refreshments available, if not now, at least incredibly shortly. So, while we're waiting for those decisions to be made, feel free to grab a bite, mingle, but make sure to keep your energy up, and we'll be back in a few minutes to remind you that we're getting close to being able to announce the results. So, get some food. Talk to you later. Goodbye. Hello, hello, hello. This is your 5-minute warning. Just went to chat with the judges to understand how far along they are in the process. I hope you've had the chance to grab some food and chat thus far. We're going to get back into it in a couple minutes, so wrap up your conversations, get your last slices, and you can keep eating while the progress continues, but just letting you know that we'll be giving announcements relatively soon. Well, thank you for your patience, everyone. We come to the moment we've all been waiting for, the announcement of the winners of this year's Change Engine competition. First off, we'd like to say that every single contestant tonight showed incredible passion, drive, and creativity. You should all be proud of the work you've put into this.
Absolutely. You're all change makers in your own right. But now let's get to the fun part. Our judges have made their decisions, so let's find out who takes home the top prize. So I'd love to welcome Alex to the front, and we'll get started.
Okay. So we're going to start first with our $100 door prize, aka raffle, I think. And that goes to Belle. Round of applause for Belle. Okay. I guess it goes to me then. That's fine. Oh, Belle? Belle Zoo. Come on up. Yay. You're welcome. Hey, don't spend it in one place. I won't. Cheers. You're welcome. Okay. Shout out Belle. So, up next, our first winner is from Stream 3. It was a very close race, but it has come down to campus safety. Come on up. Here, you hold this and smile. Nice. Any words?
I just want to say it's a privilege to be able to be given this opportunity, and I won't let the students down, and I'll make sure that this turns into reality. Thank you to my competitors in Stream 3. Your pitch was amazing. I'm sorry I couldn't talk to you guys afterwards. I was actually on another call. But thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Alex, for handing me the envelope.
Okay, so our Stream 2 winner, very intense as well, comes down to Ecoplastic AI. Congratulations. And smile. Good job. Words?
I just want to say thank you to everyone for coming out, because I've met some of the most passionate people here, and just I really want to continue growing, and this is a really great opportunity. So thank you.
Well done. And finally, Stream 1, closest showdown of them all. WIGO, come on up.
Yeah, nice outfit, by the way. You can talk. I did the handshake.
True. Thank you, everybody. It was really awesome to hear all of your different pitches. Thank you for selecting us. If anyone wants to host an event with us, come talk to us after. We'd love to work with you. Yeah, thank you for putting this together. I hope there are more Change Engine competitions. I think this really gives people a way to kickstart their ideas, and that's very important. So, thank you.
Well done. Well done. I will pass it off.
Well, congratulations to our winners this evening. And once again, a huge thank you to all of our contestants. You made a real impact here tonight, and we can't wait to see where you go from here. Of course, you can stick around for some additional networking and refreshments. I think there are some that remain. And it's a great opportunity to connect with the incredible people that you might have met tonight or talked to or haven't had a chance to, so don't rush off too soon.
Yeah, so on behalf of WUSA, we want to thank you all for attending this year's Change Engine competition, and we hope tonight left you with a feeling of feeling inspired and ready to make a change to your own communities. So have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event.